Hey guys, yeah, I'm sorry I'm late for this one, but okay, jumping right into it, obviously the highlight moment is at the end of the episode where we finally see the iconic page from the manga come to life of Luffy's hair slowly start to change color, steam coming out of his body, and a very distinct smile appear on his face, showing that Joy Boy has returned. And I'll be honest, going into the episode, I was debating with myself whether or not to do this review and wait until next week to cover both this episode and the episode 1071 as a sort of double feature review. But there is still one thing to talk about, and I think now is a good place to talk about it, just to get it out in the ether, so I'm free to gush over the art and animation next week. But this was an episode where I kinda unintentionally ruined the hype of Joy Boy Gear 5 for myself, and it's not because I'm a manga reader necessarily, but because I had made the mistake of watching film Red before this episode. So because of that, and because the animation of a One Piece film already has such high production value, I'm already going into the next episode with a much more measured take. Like, don't get me wrong, I am still excited to see Gear 5 in action, and from what I have heard, I am excited to see it all fully animated and whatnot. And from what I have heard, it promises to be the most unique One Piece episode just from the batch of animators that got to work on it. But I know more. It's one of those things where I know more or less what I should expect at this point, and I know what I'm saying might get some people angry at me that I'm not as excited as everyone else is. But again, I feel as a reviewer I have to be upfront and honest with all of you. Because, it's just one of those things where because I already saw Gear 5 Joy Boy in, Human Fruit Nika in Film Red, it's I kind of know what to expect now. That's all it is. With all that being said, though, I will give the episode the way they built up this moment in the final moments of the episode was perfect in my opinion. Just from the way they animated the steam rising up from Luffy's body as the Devil Fruit awakens inside of him and takes hold of him to and even the drum track they used to capture the sound, the drums of liberation. They really sold that this fruit is alive in a sense, and that the time of reckoning for the world government for Wano has come. And I'm not gonna lie. And it was all still a great experience. I'm not gonna lie though, if I did have one complaint about this episode, is that the CGI Kaido felt extra uncanny this week. I can't explain why, but something felt off. Of course, we can't talk about this episode without talking about the fact that, as advertised from the preview, Kaido killed the CP0 agent guy, and although it would have been more satisfying if it actually showed him genuinely afraid or try to run away, it is still always satisfying as hell to see guys like that get the axe in the most brutal way possible, and Kaido delivers before starting a total rampage across Onigashima in a fit of rage for having the best fight he's experienced since Oden get taken away from him, and declares Luffy dead, which, I'm not gonna lie, I look at this moment a little differently now than I did from the manga, because on one hand, it is still a very scary prospect how with Kaido's declaration, we do start to see the Animal Kingdom parts start to regain ground where it has become the worst case scenario with only slivers of resistance trying to hold on. But at the same time, I really also can't help but chuckle a bit at the fact that I can't help but chuckle a little bit at the fact that when you look at when you look at Kaido's declaration from a certain point of view, it's not hard to see that he's just kind of throwing a giant tantrum. The man is so angry at the fact that a fight was once again stripped away from him that his only recourse is to take out all his frustration and anger on Wano itself, which I think is partly the reason as to why he even said as much that, yeah, all of you are going to become slaves, all that shit. It's his way of coping with the fact that another great fight was lost to him. And again, it's kind of an interesting indicator that I think I think Kaido was so wrapped up in the fight with Luffy that you could say he almost forgot about Onigashima, and that just seeing him get defeated in the same way he lost to Oden. He got so wrapped up in the fight that he was so that he was so that for Luffy to get taken out by a CP0 agent on his own hands was probably once again the most sobering moment for him. And even more so, I think it is in moments like this that I tend to think subconsciously Kaido has these moments where he doesn't fully realize just how strong he truly is until moments like this. That's kind of how I've interpreted Kaido. Like, he never fully understands the breadth of his own strength until something like that, like what happened with Luffy and what happened with Oden happened. Getting back to the severity of the situation, though, I like how there are legitimate reasons to be afraid of Kaido's rampage here, because very early in the episode we're reminded that not only is Luffy out cold now for most of the episode, but Zoro is still at death's door as well, meaning both potential combatants who are capable of taking on Kaido aren't even able to, and it makes the reveal of Joy Boy more at the end of the episode more powerful as that final glimmer of hope to hold on to. One little detail I also like is how, despite fighting back the horror and tears of the situation, we also see Nami as the first one to step up and say, "We're gonna keep fighting. We're not gonna give up until Luffy comes back." Which I like how, for as much as that could be interpreted as her holding on to what little hope there is left, it is also shows that as one of the original 5 members of the crew that was like there when the crew formed back in East Blue, Nami has become one of Luffy's most dedicated crewmates, to the point, and to the point where, yes, for her, even if she can be scared, even if she's frightened a lot of the times, she is still dedicated to helping. She still wants to be there for Luffy. She wants to help Luffy achieve his dream. And then, of course, that's also kind of hilariously contrasted by Law and Kid, who are basically like, "Thanks for making this trouble. Thanks for making this even more of a hassle for us, dumbass." Like, just the dual tones there. It's kind of hilarious. Now, before I forget, though, I do want to talk about Zunisha, because even now in the manga, he is kind of weirdly still the biggest mystery of just what his origins are. I mean, we know the basics of he was an ally of Joy Boy, and that 800 years ago he was given the sentence to walk the seas for eternity, and only allowed to act when ordered to. Now, in context of those rules, I have to assume some kind of spell or curse was placed on Zunisha back then, because otherwise, like, I don't see like the point of what that sentence mean unless there wasn't something attached to it, unless there wasn't something that was forcing him to do that. Like, if there wasn't something forcing him to do that, he could have just as easily defied those orders at any point in time. But now, with the awakened Joy Boy, I think whatever shackled him to that sentence has since been broken. At least I would have to assume, and obviously it was probably the world government of old who did that to him, but again, just the whole circumstances surrounding how that happened to him are still the biggest mystery to me. That there's just a lot of questions in regards to what's Zunisha's role in the grand plan of, like, Joy Boy, the world government, all of it. What is his role to play in the grand plan of the world, and how does it connect to Joy Boy? And I'm asking this as a manga reader because like a lot of Wano, Zunisha is also kind of a dangling thread that is yet to be fully addressed. Like, who is he? What role did he play? How did the world government, possibly the world government, shackle him to the duty he was given? Like, this is one of those times where the reveal left me with way more questions than answers about Zunisha's origins, and even more so, I'm not fully convinced that Zunisha was always an elephant. Like, especially after what we saw in the Zou arc, I can't help but feel he was once a man whose spirit was trapped inside that elephant form. Because if the Gum Gum fruit has its own will in the form of Nika, then I don't think it's much more of a stretch to believe that once upon a time Zunisha was human. Probably. The question is, like, how did he become, like, the giant elephant that he is today, I guess. But, yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just hit the video around, guys. Dark Knight of NA, signing off. Next week, guys. Next week, it's Gear 5.